Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name's Ryan. I'm a little bit ashamed to admit this, but as a whiskey buff, I love whiskey, I'm crazy about whiskey. I have never tried any Michter's Rye. I just haven't done it, other than just the base standard offering. Other than that, I've never had any of the other ryes. So big shout out to DMC, one of our Patreon supporters and Discord members, who sent in some great Michter samples here. So we're going to be going over the single barrel rye, the toasted barrel rye, the barrel strength rye, and the 10-year rye. So these are all pretty well sought after products, and I'm excited to dive into them with you today. And you can see my genuine reaction to first time ever having these. So we're going to start with the single barrel rye. So this is, I think this is only like a $40 MSRP, right? For just the single barrel rye, which is honestly fairly reasonable for a single barrel rye. I think one of the major knocks, or yeah, one of the most common knocks I hear against Michter's as a distillery is their price efficiency. So a lot of I think, but it's more on the bourbon side of things. Their bourbons have a pretty steep barrier to entry in terms of cost. Something like their bottom shelf rye or bottom shelf bourbon is like a $45 bourbon, when a lot of people are shelving same proof point bourbon, same age, same proof point for half the cost. And so I think they get a lot of flack for that. But for a single barrel rye, I think this is actually a pretty fair price, 45 bucks. It's actually kind of strange. The very first thing I got on the nose was a marshmallow, and that's not a typical rye note at all. But going in on this on the nose, that was the very first thing that came to mind, was a marshmallow. A little white peppercorn on the nose too, and a little wintergreen mint on the nose. Pretty nice. Let's try it. So that's 84.8 proof. Up front on the palate, it's a lot of just standard rye flavors. A little bit of that mint, a little bit of the peppercorn, a hint of pine. But I think it's maybe the proof point with those more spicy flavors. They drop off real fast. And then what's left behind is just that marshmallow and oak. And it's not a long finish per se, but it's nice. I think I actually really like the finish of that, being that oak and marshmallow. Not something I'm used to getting on a rye. It's tasty. It's a little flat, a little diluted, and I think that's probably just the proof point. The flavors that I do get out of it are really nice. This would actually, I think, maybe be a decent rye for someone who's not, maybe they're not super acclimated to ryes, they wanted to get into ryes. Has something that's a little bit more timid on your palate. You'll get those standard rye flavors, but also a little bit of those sweet bourbon flavors that you're used to on the finish. Not bad. Let's move on. So this next one, this was pretty highly sought after actually. This is the toasted barrel rye, and a lot of people go crazy for this bottle. Now the price on this one is considerably higher, like 100 to 120 bucks for a bottle of the toasted barrel rye. We're also gonna jump up in the proof department up to 108.2. Okay, the nose on this is fantastic. That toasted marshmallow is there, brown sugar, sweet oak, and there's this bright fruit note in there that makes me think of maybe like a caramel apple. You know, a good caramel apple that's both sweet and sour. Yeah. That's a beautiful nose. I like that a lot. Let's try it. Those flavors mix so well. A good sweet brown sugar toasted barrel, coupled with the spice and the peppercorn that you get on a rye. Those flavors work together very well. It's both peppery and sweet. That finish is just all boatloads of oak and brown sugar, but the palate is a mingling of the two. Yeah, you get some of the pine, some of the peppercorn, a whole lot of oak on the palate too. That toasted marshmallow right there towards the end, that's delicious. That's really, really tasty. My only knock would be, I wish I got on the palate some more of that bright fruit I was getting on the nose. But other than that, this is spectacular. Yeah, it's not overly complex. It is what you expect from a toasted barrel, and it is what you expect from a rye. And the two of them seamlessly intertwined. About 120 bucks, 108.2 proof. That's really yummy. Let's move on. Next, we have the Barrel Strength Rye. This one is 112.6 proof, and it is around $100 for the MSRP. That's what you're going to spend on it. Okay, we're no longer getting the marshmallow, the toasted brown sugar, and all the oak. All that stuff is not present in this one. Instead, the nose gives me somewhat more herbal qualities on the nose. Think of green tea and mint leaves. There's a somewhat earthy quality to it as well. Cheers. That's a very well grounded sip. It's got a lot of base to it. A lot of earthiness, dustiness, which Every time my wife hears me describe something as dusty, she's like, that's disgusting. Who would want to eat dust? But I mean more that it's like, it tastes a little vintage, weathered, aged. You know, a lot of chocolate and mint. Almost like, what are those called? Shoot. What are they called? They come in like boxes. They're like shaped sort of like M&Ms, but they're the white mint on the inside and chocolate on the outside. Shoot, what are those called? I looked it up because it was bothering me. Junior mints. It tastes like Junior mints. Or like a York peppermint patty, right? Same kind of a thing. Man, I actually think so far, I like that one the best. I like those notes. The chocolate, the mint, that grounded earthiness, a little bit dusty as well. Yeah, I approve. That's really yummy. Let's move on to the last one. Last up is the priciest bottle of these four. This is the 10-year rye. This is going to MSRP for around, I think it's like $150, but a lot of times you're going to find it for upwards of $200. The bottle shape on this one is nice and rounded and robust. It is 92.8 proof though, so we're jumping down several proof points from the last one, which is 112.6. So it's almost a full 20 proof points less than the last one. On the nose, I can tell that this one's older. It's mellowed out a little bit more, and it allows those yellow fruit notes to rise to the surface. A little bit of cantaloupe. The mint is still there too. On the nose, I'm not getting much of that chocolate note we were getting on the barrel strength one. This one's softer, less assertive. A little more of a delicate touch on this one. A faint hint of juniper there too. On the nose, it kind of reminds me of a gin and tonic. Let's try it. The palate, I lose a lot of that mature fruit note. And it's kind of replaced with some seasoned oak. A softer white peppercorn. And I think of spearmint instead of more like that wintergreen, which is kind of what I was expecting based on the younger expressions. Yeah, that's not bad at all. I think I would like another at least 10 proof points on this. Maybe like even like 105-ish. It doesn't need to be that barrel proof, but it's a little too muted for me. I wish it would bring some more of those mature rye flavors that come with maturation, with age, and they're getting lost a little bit, I think, in the dilution of it being down in the low 90s for proof. It's quite tasty. There's nothing offensive about it at all. I just kind of wanted to bring a little bit more to the table on the palate there. So if I'm going to rank these from my favorite to my least favorite, I think I got to give it to the Barrel Strength Rye for first place. I just thought that brought a lot of great flavor to the table. I love that chocolate and mint combination there. It was great. And that sort of earthy dustiness. Love that. So that's going to easily be my first place. Second place would be the Toasted. The Toasted was quite tasty. I like that one a lot. I'm a sucker for those brown sugar toasted oak notes on anything, but especially on a rye, which is one of the reasons the Jack Daniel's special release twice barreled rye last year was like one of my favorite sips I had all year. Third place would go to the 10-year for me, and last place would go to just the single barrel rye. I didn't dislike any of these. I think if I were to go out and buy my own bottle to have on my shelf, it'd be the Barrel Strength. It'd be the Barrel Strength Rye. But what about you? Have you had any Michter's products you really liked? Which ones would you rank the highest for you personally? And if you haven't had any Michter's, like me, you hadn't had any of the Ryes yet, just on my tasting notes alone, which one of these sounded like it would speak to your palate the best? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for tuning into the video. I genuinely appreciate each and every one of you. Big shout out to my Patreon supporters. Really appreciate the love and support, you guys funding the bottles that I get to pick up and review here on the channel. And in a lot of cases, the ones that you send in yourselves, I really do appreciate that support. It helps me keep the content flowing, so I am eternally grateful to y'all. If you want to get involved in our Discord, totally free, check the link in the description. We have a wonderful conversation all the time. Would love to see you stop in there and say hello and introduce yourself, and maybe tell us what your palate is like and what you enjoy. And feel free to check out the Patreon group as well. Link is also in the description. You can join for as little as $1 a month and help support the bottles here on our shelves. Cheers, my friends. May you live richly and get better with age. And I hope to catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.